My husband Joe and I first discovered the outdoors in 1971 after hitchhiking across the country. The beauty of Yosemite and the West Coast mountains offered us a place of sanctuary during those restless days of our youth. We returned to our normal lives, but our recent discovery of the wilderness shaped our desires and goals for the years to come. Whenever possible, we hiked throughout the U.S. and Canada, gaining more knowledge and appreciation for wildlife and the delicate state of our environment. A dream was born to trek from Mexico to Canada straight through in one season. For as we envisioned it, we would truly experience the outdoors day to day, season to season, through mountains and desert, as our ancestors had. But as the years passed and we settled into a more traditional lifestyle, the hike was pushed back or replaced with shorter trips. Still, we were unable to forget that dream. The spirits of the high country were calling, and we would never rest until that call was answered. In late 1987, we made the decision to leave our jobs and take our savings to finance the trek. With only 6 months to plan this expedition, we traced the routes from maps and guidebooks, picking resupply points along the route and planning our equipment. We tailored our exercise to meet the needs of the hike. We stopped running and began daily training hikes with full packs. We gained weight for the trip, especially Joe, whose fast metabolism needed lots of extra calories to carry him through those hard times. Joe gained 23 pounds and I gained 5. In early April, we left for San Diego with only our backpacks. Our friends at home mailed our boxes of food and supplies to various points along the trail. We were frightened but excited as a rural bus dropped us off 2 miles from the Mexican border on April 5th. The next 6 months would provide us with a chance to learn about the states of California, Oregon, and Washington from a perspective very few experience. We would walk 2,515 miles from Mexico to Canada, border to border. The romantic visions of the hike were soon replaced by harsh reality. We never hiked in Southern California before and expected hot, arid conditions and sandy hills until reaching the Sierra Nevada. We began our day's hike on April 22nd from a beautiful campsite nestled in cactus. But that same evening, our surroundings completely changed.
Good morning, backpacking fans. It's April 23rd. It's about, 10 a.m.?
Yep.
Remember yesterday's camp in the cactus garden? That beautiful spot at about 3,060 feet, as I'm told in the trail guide? Well, we're now up about 8,200 on the ascent to Big Bear. And it is a winter wonderland up here.
Yeah.
We've already, last night we camped in the snow, as it was snowing on us. A delightful experience. Got up in the morning, the water bottles were just about frozen solid, which meant it got damn cold up here. Camped at about 7,500. Snow's getting pretty deep. We've already spent about an hour and a half this morning looking for the trail. We finally found it. It crosses jeep roads in and out and in and out and in and out and gives you no directions. And the trail guide at this point is not particularly useless. Say hello.
Useless. Hello.
I'd like to say a little about this camera. I don't know how long it'll last under these conditions. It was probably in the mid to low 20s up here last night. And this thing is just working remarkably well. I just can't believe it's still even running. So we're on a jeep road right now, and we're trying to piece out where the trail might or might not be. And I guess we're just going to have to go with it and hope for a little luck. We're on our way to Big Bear. It's the 23rd of April. We'd be having fun. Oh, by the way, this is breakfast.
This is breakfast, yeah.
There it is.
The snack mix.
Mmm.
Yum.
The snow and sub-freezing temperatures were depressing. Our biggest problem was being cold. We were unable to carry true winter gear because of its weight and our need to average 15 miles a day. But as our physical strength improved, we found we could stand up to these rugged conditions. As we continued our trek through Southern California, we were saddened to see the state of the environment. Off-road vehicles abused much of the land, even areas posted off-limits. Smog blanketed the hills. Trash and shotgun shells littered the trail, left behind by target shooting enthusiasts. These conditions left us both angry and bitter. Between these people and the military who loved to strafe the hills in their fighter planes and helicopters, the environmentally sensitive areas and national forests seemed a joke. Only in the mountains, and usually by way of tracks in the snow, we caught a glimpse of what wildlife still exists. We were lucky enough to see a mountain lion, which fulfilled a lifelong dream and seemed the best possible omen for our trip. I remember hiking high ridges in the snow, looking down at the desert far below. On cold days, this seemed especially ironic. It was in Wrightwood that our mascot, Purple Haze, joined our team. He helped us laugh at ourselves as the going got rough. Approaching the Mojave Desert, we found humor was the best defense against the heat. And here comes Joe.
There's just one thing I want to say. Are you ready for the desert? It's right over that ridge. I mean the real desert. You won't be able to crawl under a bush because there won't be any. You think this has been desert? Ha! This has been nothing. The Mojave, that's the desert. I want to know if you're ready.
We have a special treat for you. We have Carol McVeigh in the latest in Pacific Crest Trail wear, which we assume is going to be very, very big this year. Let's take a close look at what she's got. The umbrella over the pack, keep the sun away. We have the hat in addition, and the hiking glasses. Okay, could you turn for us a little?
Scarf.
Okay, yes, the scarf, very nice accessory with, let's see, balloons on it. Oh,
Yeah.
very nice.
How do you have balloons?
Oh, very nice choice in a
Thank
scarf.
you. I thought so.
We have the bedrolls and the water bottles hanging off. Oh, let's zoom on the shoes. Oh, nice touch. Oh, very sharp. Yeah, she seems to have thought of everything. Oh, now turn a little more. Oh, yes, and she's accessorized it with the hat and the tank top. And very nice, the shorts that haven't been washed in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Very nice.
very nice.
Okay, let's see. Footwear has recently gone, to sneakers on the dry road. Very nice.
Right.
We won't mention brand names. No, that's strictly prohibited. And there it is. I mean, I know you'll all be jealous when you see this.
That's right.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you being here with us today.
You're welcome.
We soon met hikers Mike and Dennis from Holland and spent a few days keeping pace with them and exchanging ideas, as well as coaxing water out of the LA aqueduct and losing our water bottles in the process. Mike and Dennis weren't the first hikers we'd met, but they were the first we spent much time with, and it was fascinating to hear about their homeland and see America through their eyes. Entering Jawbone Canyon Environmental Impact Area, we were again saddened to see the abuse this beautiful high desert suffered. More stringent controls are needed to protect this highly sensitive region from off-road vehicle use. As Mike and Dennis hiked on ahead, we approached the Southern Sierra. We were delighted to be entering the high mountains again, and the scenery was a breathtaking mix of high meadows filled with deer and beautiful granite domes. After leaving Kennedy Meadows, we knew we had 211 miles to go to our next food pickup at Mammoth Lakes. My pack weighed over 60 pounds and Joe's was close to 90. As we got our first views of Mount Whitney in the High Sierra, we wondered if the drought conditions we'd experienced until now would mean smaller snowpack and an easier travel across the high passes.
Well, it's Friday, May 27th. We're on our first break on our approach to Whitney. I think this is called Bighorn Plateau. Approach to Foresters. You can see we're spaced from the altitude. Anyway, the place is so gorgeous. I wanted to get some shots of it.
How are the stream fords this morning?
Oh. And Joe asks, how are the stream fords this morning?
They were hell.
Formidable is what the guidebook says, which I think is a very apt description. Fast, cold, and deep. You get out and it's just excruciating pain. So we got 2 down and 1 to go on our approach to Foresters.
Hell.
Yeah, he says, they were hell. We are a lot closer to Foresters Pass.
But not close enough.
Not close enough.
Zoom that baby, it'll make it seem closer.
Okay. That,
If we don't make it over, at least they can recover the tape and know
that's
exactly
right.
where we lost it.
Leave here. We're going. Up that crazy thing. Here we have Dano we met today. Another PCTer.
Greetings.
Say hi to the folks at home.
Hi to the folks at home.
Good.
Should I take my hat off, my glasses? And
Yeah, if you want.
really scare the folks at home?
Yeah.
This is what a through hiker looks like.
Ah,
Nice hair.
You like my hair?
as good as ours.
Made it
Yeah.
myself.
All right. Okay, say something up.
This is the view north from Foresters Pass. This is the way we'll soon be descending. We did make the top. This is the highest point on the Pacific Crest Trail. 13,180 feet. Give you a quick scan over here. Our buddy's still with us here. Came with us over the precipitous ice climb. Well, snow anyway. Welcome to the high country, guys.
It's great.
Our descent from Foresters was both exhausting and exhilarating. Falling into waist-deep snow every few steps, we eventually slid down the steep snow, just as kids on sleds would do it. Exhausted, wet, and frozen, we set up camp at 12,300 feet and spent a cold but breathtakingly beautiful night as the full moon illuminated the mountains.
Dano continued on, going over Glen Pass the next day, while we dried our equipment in the valley below. That night, the Memorial Day storm hit, and we spent the next day in our tent, melting snow for water. I shot this footage during a break in the storm. At least 6 inches more snow fell that night, and temperatures plummeted to the low teens. By morning, our tent was a sheet of frozen ice, and we later learned from rangers that hikers were being rescued from lower altitudes. Breaking camp to attempt the ascent of Glen Pass, the snow was knee-deep, and without Carol's confidence and determination, I would never have tried to find the route over Glen Pass that day.
Folks, this is the view south from the top of Glen Pass. I can hardly believe it myself. I was ready to turn back a couple times, but we did find the pass. And we're here. Whether we can get down off it, well, that's another story. And this is where we're going. Not very fast.
No.
That's Ray Lakes down there, quite a beautiful spot. What we're gonna do, say hi to the folks at home, Carol.
Oh, hi. We made it up here. And I swear, we haven't been backpacking for a while. Everything seems to be alpine mountaineering.
Gonna work our way over there. And we're going
Trek with
to
our
go
crampons.
down this steep snow, hopefully with crampons. Hopefully not tumbling head first. Down to that ridge there. Work our way across it. And then hopefully pick up the trail right down in there before it drops down to Ray Lakes. The trail then crosses over there and heads off along the lakesides up that way. And then day after tomorrow, it would have been tomorrow if we could have made any time, but impossible. We'll be going up somewhere in there to Pinchot Pass. Maybe that's it right there. Maybe not. But whatever happens, they can't take this one away from us.
No.
This was one of my best leads. I must
Yeah,
say, if I
really.
do say so myself. I'm proud of this one. Now all we gotta do is get down. I'm gonna let Carol lead down.
Ah!
That next morning, the mirror-like reflection of Glen Pass and Ray Lakes steeled our determination as we donned rock-hard frozen boots to continue our trek.
We're at about 10:08, 10:06
Yeah, it's
on the way
10:06.
to Pinchot Pass.
Yeah, on the way to Pinchot Pass
And
here.
guess what?
We're having a
Look
party.
what we found. Found Dano. We found Bobby.
I should get this
And we
tent
found
up and get
the
it
new
dry.
guy who we've seen about 3 or 4 times, the guy with the calves. Dave
Yeah.
Between your calves and my
From
thighs,
Dallas,
we'd
right?
really have a pair of
Dallas,
legs.
yeah.
An illegal fire, folks.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Whoops.
Edit.
This is what
Edit.
PCT hikers look like, folks. It's a motley crew, let me tell you.
Yeah.
It isn't a pretty sight to come up here in the pristine wilderness and find these guys
It's a grim life out here.
camping among the snow and the wild creatures, of which there are frogs up here.
Marmots too.
Hobbits?
Marmots.
Oh, plenty. I'm going, whoa, I've heard of them.
They're orcs too. Orcs.
So it looks like we're all going over Pinchot tomorrow,
A.M.
one way or the other.
5 a.m.
The magic of the High Sierra had captured us, and leaving a spectacular campsite in the company of Dano, Bobby, and Dave, we found our way up Pinchot Pass the next morning.
Folks, it's June 1st. Happy June 1st, guys and gals.
All right.
It's the infamous 5 at the top of Pinchot. Yes, we're above 12,000 feet once again.
And it ain't gonna snow no more.
The views here are, let's say, rather impressive. This is where we just came from. There's a leader. He led up today. Quite a job it was.
It's nothing, folks.
This is where we're going. Couple frozen lakes down there. Ha! All in a day's work. PCT hikers feed on frozen lakes. Right, guys?
Yeah.
Ah!
After the descent, we continued to trek with our companions towards Mammoth Lakes. These days were intense and spectacular and took all our determination to get through. Pushed to our physical limits, we faced steep climbs and dangerous descents on a daily basis. We crossed icy cold streams every few hours, which sometimes had a sheet of ice across them. Nighttime temperatures were in the teens, and many mornings it took hours before our boots would flex and we could feel our toes again. Yes, there were plenty of hardships, but the rewards far outweighed them. There's a kind of magic in the high places when they're encased in snow. You have to earn your passage. The wind and snow and silence become your friends. Every view tells you that you belong. We arrived in Mammoth Lakes with a few ounces of peanut butter and a little dry milk. Exhilarated, hungry, and bone-tired, we celebrated our 16th wedding anniversary with our fellow hikers, as well as Mike and Dennis, who could not find their way over the high passes and arrived earlier by an alternate route.
Well, kid,
Yeah.
how do you feel? What are the things that stick out about the Sierra Leg in your mind?
Yeah. The amazing amount of snow. It's a lot more than we expected. Going over the passes is a lot harder than we thought it would be. And the cold. I mean, those nights when it gets down to around 15 degrees and you're sleeping out, it gets cold. That sticks in my mind. So we're hoping the next day or so it'll warm up. So when we start, it'll be a little warmer. And we hope that snow just keeps on melting. So it won't be quite as rough going. And maybe a little easier. I wouldn't mind that. So that's what sticks in my mind.
How
The
about,
scenery is great.
how do you feel being, the only woman, or the first woman at this point, up here with some pretty strong hikers? And so far, we only know us two and one other person who did all the passes.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you feel? You're proud? Are you surprised? Or?
I'd say surprised. I'm amazed that we did them. The lead woman. I don't know how many women there are, though. But I'm very proud of us. I'm very amazed. Just, Leaving Mammoth Lakes, we had hiked 800 miles, and we'd accomplished things we never thought ourselves capable of. We felt a special closeness with our fellow hikers and with the majestic wilderness surrounding us. Beautiful mountain vistas and abundant lakes and streams were the predominant landmarks as we continued north. But we didn't anticipate how tired we'd still be from our trek through the high Sierra. Our dreams of easier hiking weren't at all realistic. As we hiked into Tuolumne Meadows, we met more backpackers and day hikers in a few hours than we met in the last 2 months. We talked to quite a few people and found even the Yosemite rock climbers were duly impressed by the scruffy-looking crew that walked through the mountains from the Mexican border.
Sometimes in the course of your travels, you come to a river that's just too wide and too deep to ford. And you say to yourself, what am I going to do now? That's why you're very happy they built a bridge. Actually, this is the Lyle Fork of the Tuolumne River in Tuolumne Meadows. Just a beautiful spot.
We always watched for wildlife, but were disappointed by how little we'd seen. Marmots, however, are common in the Sierra and at many points along the trail, and will gladly help themselves to your dinner if you turn your back on them. Coyotes are less common, but several beautiful individuals reside in Tuolumne Meadows. We left Tuolumne Meadows with Dave and soon reached beautiful Tuolumne Falls. Here we met Ruth Sebastian, an 80-year-old woman from Oakland, who was backpacking the 6 miles to Glen Aulin by herself. She was an inspiration to us, but inspiration alone wasn't enough to keep Dave on the trail. He had severely injured his shoulder in a fall a few days before on Donahue Pass. As the miles went by, the injury worsened. Dave was forced to turn back to seek medical attention in Yosemite Valley. Dave's plight saddened us deeply and made us feel suddenly vulnerable. Could our dreams be as quickly lost as Dave's through a twist of fate? We thought often of Dave and hoped his injury would heal in time for him to rejoin us at Lake Tahoe. With our other friends now behind us, we hiked on by ourselves. We were in prime bear habitat and often had to take special precautions to keep our food protected. By camping at higher elevations and away from lakes and streams, we managed to avoid the areas commonly frequented by bears. Feeling quite sobered as we hiked on, we realized how lucky we were, and how much still lay in front of us. The terrain was much more difficult than we had anticipated, and numerous stream fords and north side snowfields slowed our progress. Early season thunderstorms were starting as we approached Sonora Pass. Somehow, through all this, we found our rhythm again and slowly regained the sense of humor and wonder we'd lost when Dave had been injured.
After 6:30 p.m. on June 15th. We've had about 10 or 12 stream fords today. This one's the deepest. I went and got Carol's pack and brought it over.
Oh my God.
Should have pulled your shirt up. Stay to the left, your left, as it gets deeper to the right.
Whoa.
How was that?
Yeah. I wanted to go swimming today, but that was about 1 o'clock this afternoon when the sun was out. Oh, I mean, this came up to your hips, and it came past my waist. Think I have to change clothes.
Leaving Sonora Pass behind, there now was less snow as we continued to hike through stunning volcanic landscapes. Descending the Sierra Crest along the east fork of the Carson River, we scrambled over fallen timber left by years of avalanches. We took a few nasty falls, and often the trail lacked signs and markings at its junctions with dirt roads. Here we met a backcountry ranger who explained that because of budget cuts, he had no trail maintenance for over 5 years. These trail conditions made hiking difficult and extremely frustrating. Afternoon thunderstorms were now more frequent. On such a day, we arrived at tiny Asa Lake with its fabulous volcanic spring and delicious drinking water. Crossing Carson Pass, we hiked through the high meadows where the Truckee River is born. We knew we were almost home. Since my brother was in town with his family, we decided to return home to Virginia City for a few days of relaxation with family and friends. Unfortunately, the time went very quickly, and as we resumed our trek near Echo Lakes on June 27th, we had very mixed emotions. It was like starting a whole new trip, and the feelings of accomplishment at all we'd done suddenly seemed to pale at the prospect of nearly 1,600 miles that still lay in front of us. While we rested at home, other hikers passed by. Dano, Bobby, Mike, and Dennis were now almost 4 days ahead. We were sad to think we probably would not see them again. We were also saddened by the news that Dave Herman's injury was indeed serious. He had fractured a vertebrae in his neck and would be in a brace for 4 to 6 weeks. His trip had ended, but we would remember his drive and enthusiasm as an inspiration. We and the other hikers in the trail would miss him. Just as we began to enjoy our beautiful surroundings, we experienced physical problems, which placed our hike in jeopardy too. Joe injured his back in a fall, and my feet were badly bruised and very painful. Because of these worries, we sometimes wouldn't talk for hours, fearing to express our own doubts. How could things have gone so wrong so quickly? We hiked along the Sierra Crest, catching occasional views of Lake Tahoe and finding some glorious patches of wildflowers. But even the rarefied air of the high places could not lighten our mood. We realized we could not reach Sierra City in time to pick up our next supply package before the 4th of July weekend. We now had no hope of catching our friends. We decided to use the delay to hitchhike to find new insoles for my boots. We soon approached Interstate 80 and the 1,000-mile mark of our journey. Feeling much more hopeful, we approached Sierra City with the majestic Sierra Buttes towering above. The short rest had done us a world of good, and we were further cheered when we met 2 other PCT hikers.
So what's your name?
Nick Williams,
From?
Springfield, Virginia.
All right. What made you come out here and do this?
Love the mountains.
Good reason.
No better reason I can think of.
Yeah.
It's funny, when I climbed Rainier in '83, they were going around introducing everybody and why do you come out here, and everybody, well, I usually sail and I wanted to add something else to my list of accomplishments, and I just told them, hey, I love the mountains, that's why I'm here. Couldn't ask for a better place to be if you love the mountains.
Clean and simple.
Yep.
This is the latest person we've met on the PCT. Pete, introduce yourself.
Oh, hello.
Oh,
It's Pete Kostick from Allentown, Pennsylvania, and it's a hot day.
any special memories of the trip so far?
Sierras are beautiful. They're just, I don't know, a very speechless place where it's probably the only wilderness area I've ever been in. That I guess you could say is totally a wilderness area.
With the Sierra Buttes in the distance, we left the seemingly endless Sierra mountain range. We saw Pete a few more times before he hiked ahead, and spent several enjoyable days hiking with Nick. We exchanged mountaineering and hiking stories, and his quick wit and humor helped the miles pass. As the weather got hotter and the scenery less spectacular, we longed for the beautiful mountains behind us. The bridge over the Feather River offered a beautiful respite from an otherwise hot and monotonous trail on the way to our next food pickup in Belden. We were now entering a long stretch where water would again be a problem. We had to leave the trail to find a small stream or a spring quite often. At these springs or near lakes in Lassen National Park, there were often large numbers of deer to greet us. They weren't at all shy, and if we didn't keep constant vigil, they would be more than happy to share our food or give my cosmetics a free taste test. As we continued north, butterflies were everywhere, and they frequently posed surprisingly close as we rushed for our cameras. They were a constant delight to watch, and always lightened our loads when they put themselves on display. We were forced to walk Highway 89 for 2 days because of the previous year's fire on Hat Creek Rim. We were hot and depressed. This was hardly a wilderness experience, and hiking nearly 20 miles a day on hot pavement is murder on your feet. Our only rewards were our first view of Mount Shasta in the distance and some beautiful patches of wildflowers. We regained the trail on July 18th at Burney Falls State Park, on one of the hottest hiking days we'd yet experienced.
Did you mention how hot it was? Like yesterday was probably 100 degrees. While we were hiking,
But I was
and we
going
found
to.
out from another hiker we met who was hiking north and a trail crew that yesterday it got to 113 in Sacramento and 118 in Redding. And we're talking hot.
Look at this hiker, folks. We're talking dirty.
We're talking dirty.
I mean, this woman
That's not tan, that's dirt.
this woman is filthy.
Nice hands.
Nice hands.
Okay, well, what's today? It's Thursday.
Look at the camera.
July 21st. I'm looking at my watch. I don't know what time it is. We're still on our way to Dunsmuir. We met a couple more PCTers yesterday who've been following us for the last 3.5 months.
More people
And
caught
they
us.
finally caught us.
We're still going to be the last ones on the trail.
Yeah, we are. We're going to start first and finish last because almost everybody hitches around except for these two.
Introduce yourselves, guys.
Hi, how you doing? I'm George.
I'm Brian.
I'm in the Philadelphia area and I'm hungry. Not sure exactly what to say, having a
Yeah,
good
you never
time.
get used to it.
The weather's been on the hot side, trying to make the best of it. And looking forward to getting to Castilla. We're going to take a day off in Mount Shasta.
Did you guys start together? You met on the trail?
Yeah, we met about 3 days? 2 nights?
Yeah, well, I think we met the second night.
Yeah.
And
My third night.
your third night. Yeah.
Oh, why'd you start the 10?
Started the 9th, but started late in the day.
Yeah,
Very last. Hiked about 2 miles in.
like us, yeah.
Any great moments that you care to relate?
Restaurants.
Everybody loves restaurants.
Yeah, we're
The
going.
way I make it is from one restaurant to the next.
Yeah, when we get to Mount Shasta, we're going to a restaurant. We're going to order a table for 10 with 2 chairs.
Yeah.
In the company of Brian and George, we pushed onward. The brutally hot weather continued, but we hiked 18 to 22 miles a day, each one of us encouraging the others. We hiked at close to the same pace, and during the day our group would break apart and then reform. You sometimes want company, and other times want solitude. On shadeless exposed ridges and always in the shadow of Mount Shasta, we approached Castle Craig State Park. It was a long, hot climb up to Castle Craig's, but the majestic granite slopes provided us with some memorable views. The last few weeks had been a blur to us. The relentless heat hounded us every day, and looking back, we wonder what kept us going. It's funny how sometimes you feel so weak, and other times you feel so strong and in tune with nature. Even on the worst days, you still want to know what's around the next bend in the trail. So the record-setting heat wave finally broke. Afternoon thunderstorms cooled us as the trail took a long westward swing towards the Trinity Alps. Entering Marble Mountain Wilderness, we encountered a huge rattlesnake, and granite warriors seemed to guard the mountain fortress as we walked below them. We traveled for days through lush valleys overflowing with the most beautiful wildflowers we had ever seen. The serenity of this place touched us all, and it was as if we had just awakened from a long, hard backpacker's dream. Our senses were alive again, and our excitement was building as we approached the Oregon border, a destination we had all but forgotten about. We picked up our next package in Syad Valley and spent 3 hours relaxing before we pushed on. A steep climb brought rewarding views of the valley, the Klamath River, and all the way back to Mount Shasta. Again, we hiked through huge areas ravaged by forest fires in 1987. This fire was caused by a lightning strike and burned approximately 700,000 acres. Wildflowers and butterflies kept us company as thoughts of entering a new state danced in our heads.
I hope they didn't go to too much trouble for us to,
I know.
to mark the trail.
Yeah, we said we
At least there's a sign.
I'm going to capture this moment for posterity.
This is it?
This is it.
In the middle of a walked over section. This is it.
There's the official sign.
Well, at least we got a sign. Ta-da! Wait a minute. Okay. You can take it. All right. Yay! God, it's 1,600 miles.
Alright, yeah, alright, yeah. Long haul. Alright.
A moment for pictures and congratulations.
Yeah.
I wanted this to prove that Carol and I were actually on this trip together.
Yeah.
There are only about
No.
2 pieces of footage on the whole 8 or 10
right.
hours so far that we're actually in the same picture.
We did, yeah, we did make it together.
her
Yay! Congratulations.
We were excited to finally enter a new state. Looking back at Mount Shasta, we realized we always had a fear of giving up in the face of hardship. But now we knew we'd faced our fear and beaten it. It didn't matter if we finished, but now we understood that giving our best in this or any endeavor was all we could ask of ourselves. With this in mind, we were ready to face the challenges the future had in store for us. Continuing on alternate trails, we traveled through the beautiful Sky Lakes region, where we marveled at ospreys and majestic bald eagles. Unfortunately, they refused to pose for our pictures. Arriving at Devil's Peak Saddle on August 12th, we paused to study where we come from and to get a glimpse of the mist-shrouded Klamath Lake in the distance. From our vantage point, it looked like a satellite photo of another planet.
It's August 13th. You might say to yourself, what's happened? Have they quit and gone to the city? Well, no, that's not it. Keep guessing. It's the first views of Crater Lake. It is breathtaking. It was worth the 1,700 odd miles.
Yeah.
It is. It's fabulous.
They have a boat ride down at the bottom.
Do they really?
$10. Last year it was $5.
Oh.
How do you get down to the bottom?
You hike down and a mile back. You hike. Wouldn't you guys love to hike?
Hike, a good idea.
Just a mile.
As we watched the sunset, we discussed our trip. We'd never been able to use reaching the Canadian border as a motivator because it was so distant, both in time and miles. We realized that someday, whether we succeeded or failed, our journey would be over, and we'd be going home. After so many days on the trail, what would it be like to go home? Questions like these were quickly lost again in the adventure that was now everyday life, and would not resurface till the days of early October.
As afternoon passed into evening, the mood of the lake changed. We could do nothing but watch the water and the clouds and marvel at the beauty around us. We hiked along the Rim Drive the next morning, as again light brought out different colors and textures in the water. Reaching our last view, we paused to capture the essence of this amazing place. Watching the kestrels swoop along the shoreline far below us, we were filled with wonder, and though we hated to leave, we knew that many more such adventures lay in store for us. Our journey was now a way of life. As if in a dream, we kept going. It was fascinating to realize this was how man traveled through most of his history. And in certain parts of the world, one still endured many hardships to get from one place to another. The hike had already changed our view of time and distance. And although the landscape might look barren and hard, it was rich with a tapestry of life, which changed with every few steps we took. Arriving at Cascade Summit, we couldn't believe we hiked 1,800 miles. We learned Dennis and Mike ended their trek here and returned to Holland. We remembered the time we spent with them with great fondness and wished them good treks in the future. Progressing farther into Oregon, our surroundings began to change. The pine trees were suddenly draped in moss, and the land was rich and moist. Lakes dotted the landscape. Mile after mile, there were picture postcard pools glistening in the sun. We were all happy, enjoying the weather, our friendship, and the beauty of our surroundings. We soon traded our lake-studded forest for our first view of the volcanic landscape to the north. As we topped a ridge, Mount Bachelor, Broken Top, and South Sister came into view. Entering the lava flows themselves made hiking difficult, but the uniqueness of the place took our minds off it and made the hike quite fascinating. In the midst of the changing land, we came to beautiful obsidian falls, cascading over and surrounded by sparkling black volcanic glass. The views soon opened up to reveal our route for the next week. Closest to us was Mount Washington, then lined up perfectly with Three-Fingered Jack, Mount Jefferson, and barely perceivable Mount Hood. The last few weeks had been great, but the next 9 days would provide some of the most memorable moments of our trip. It wasn't just the extraordinary views, that we had more than we could hope for, but we'd finally attained the peace of mind and body we came out here to find.
We're coming up from Jefferson Park, which isn't really a park, but it's a park-like setting in the wilderness. Beautiful lakes with the reflections of Mount Jefferson. And we're ascending now. We'll go up to 6,900 feet on the way to Olali Lake. The views are adequate. What do you think of the view?
Oh, fabulous. This was such a great morning. The views are just glorious. It'd be fun to climb it someday.
It sure would.
Yeah. Oh, it's another picture postcard view. So pretty. I was looking at a brand new flower we'd never seen before.
I saw that.
Yeah.
As they say in the beer ads, it don't get no better than this.
Huh.
That's great.
We're up around 7,000 feet now, looking down at Jefferson Park, which is just beautiful. Just below, a very majestic Mount Jefferson. There on the horizon is Mount Hood. Hopefully 3 days from tonight, we'll be at the base of that mountain having a 2,000-mile celebration dinner with Carol, Brian, George, and I at Timberline Lodge. Something we're really looking forward to.
Yeah.
We had lost all the extra weight we gained for the trip long ago, and as we approached Timberline Lodge, we were in the best physical condition of our lives. Once your body is used to the physical stress of hiking every day, you're free to enjoy the rewards of the beautiful places you're walking through.
Let me get a good look.
You need to see the that pan at work.
There they are. This is the 2,000-mile celebration. Have we had our entrees yet? Oh yeah, we already ate. Okay. Any special words for the occasion?
That was good.
I'll take my plate away until I'm finished.
I know. That was good.
He said that. You gotta say
Oh,
something
well, I
different.
don't know. He said it all.
He said it all. Just like Bogey and Bacall.
Yeah, something like that.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
From the steps of Timberline Lodge, we watched a beautiful sunset that was the finishing touch to a perfect day. Sometimes people would ask us, "Where are you coming from?" And they were often shocked by our answer. While hiking behind us one day, Brian met a woman who'd seen 3 crazy people claiming they hiked all the way from the Mexican border. "Some people will say anything," she said. "Do they think I'm stupid?" Brian just smiled, wished her a good day, and continued hiking north. We left the next morning feeling refreshed and invigorated. That day's hike was remarkable. Whether it was the views of Mount Hood from slopes bathed in wildflowers, or lush Ramona Falls, nestled in a cool dell, away from the heat of the sun-drenched slopes. Each step offered us something new and exciting. The north side of Mount Hood provided spectacular views of its glaciers, even though we often viewed them over slopes that were a patchwork of clear cuts. Progressing toward the Oregon-Washington border, we didn't realize the extraordinary surprises soon to come.
Despite our collective disbelief, it's September 1st, and we left our campsite at Watham Lake, and we're descending down to the Columbia River Gorge. This will be our last hiking day in Oregon. We have taken an alternate to the Pacific Crest Trail called the Eagle Falls Trail. And the reason this trail is highly recommended in our guidebook is because of the succession of waterfalls. This is the start of it here, and it should go on for several miles. We're pretty excited to see them. We're going down from, taking about a 3,500 foot plunge on the way down. Columbia River Gorge will be the lowest point on the trail, nearly at sea level. And then we'll climb out of there back into Washington in a few days and go back up to 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, and 7,000 feet. Let's go take a look at the falls. Oh, wow. Better cover up this baby. Yikes! Woo! Ow! Well, it's dripping in here.
This is great, I'll tell you.
You can take this from like 50 different angles and never be tired of the view. It really is. I want to get Brian coming around too. Ta-da!
One false slip. And it's...
The descent from Tunnel Falls was breathtaking, but much too soon we were gone and hiking through 100-degree heat to reach Cascade Locks. Here we took 2 days off, while Brian and George took a bus to Portland to resupply for the Washington section. We planned to meet again in White Pass in a week. With 2 states completed and 500 miles left to go, we were both excited and apprehensive about entering Washington. Famous for its beautiful scenery and rapidly changing weather, we wondered if our good fortune would hold long enough to reach the Canadian border. Entering Washington, we walked roads for 15 miles until we met the trail again. Our only reward was the view from the bridge above Wind River Gorge. The hot weather soon changed dramatically, and we were covered by misty clouds that appeared to come from Mount St. Helens. When the clouds finally cleared, we were standing at the base of Mount Adams at a fabulous campsite, looking at the glaciers with awe. Traversing around Mount Adams between cold fronts provided us with more than our share of photo opportunities, whether it was Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier, or Mount Adams himself. Everywhere you looked, the views were spectacular. Animal tracks covered the trail, and it was a thrill to know all those creatures roamed free, even if they did stay well hidden.
Anyway, we've entered Goat Rock's wilderness, right?
Yeah.
And there's Rainier.
We'll be walking through the rocks up there somewhere.
Rainier's awesome. If we follow that ridge over, you see the Goat Rock's wilderness. We'll be going in through a pass right in there. What, tomorrow morning sometime?
Yeah.
Looks nice. September 10th, and our dwarf trees, which last night were in a frozen cloud apparently, are still bathed in ice at about 11:30 a.m. We're in Goat Rock's wilderness, and right around the corner from me is the highest point we'll be on the Pacific Crest Trail in Washington. That's right up there. It's quite cold. Mount Rainier should be right over there somewhere, but we can't see it. There's Goat Lake, I think. In our book it said it was perpetually frozen, but it doesn't look very frozen to me.
Mount Adams seemed to hover above the clouds as we viewed it from a stone shelter on the wind-swept slopes of Goat Rock's wilderness.
We left the shelter about 2 miles ago, and our trail has been following the crest. This will be our descent right along the crest here. The trail has just been wildly spectacular. As you can see, There are some pretty fair drops along it, and the scenery has been great. I'll walk you down around here. This is the kind of trail that is not for the faint-hearted, but is just gorgeous. There's Carol down there with a pass sign. We came around the shelter. It was about right over there, just over the ridge. We came around just over that glacial field, and then you can see the trail right on the crest, and it just rode the crest all the way along here. And it has just been fabulous.
After being treated royally by our friends in Natchez, we saw Brian just as we were leaving White Pass. Brian and George met another PCT hiker, Nick Sprague, in Cascade Locks, and they decided to hike at a slower pace than we originally planned. So sadly, we left White Pass, thinking we'd seen the last of our good friends. Leaving behind the Mount St. Helens dust, but still in the shadow of Mount Rainier, we skirted Mount Rainier National Park. By the time we reached Chinook Pass, the mountain was disappearing in the mist, and we feared our good weather might be over. Our instincts were correct, as clouds from the western valleys swept over us as we hiked along the crest that next day. Well, here we are. It's September 16th, Friday, and we are in the Camp Urich shelter. And this is Joe drying on our tent above this nice wood stove. Well, it was rather foggy and cloudy all day yesterday. And we passed by one shelter and we kept on going in the fog because it was really kind of dirty and really no place to set up the tent decent. So we went about 2 miles farther and camped under a tree. Of course, the tree dripped on us all night long. That and the mist and a little bit of rain and drizzle. We got quite soaked. So we stopped at this cabin. We decided to dry off all our stuff before we continue. We just heard the weather's supposed to be like this for a day or two more. We're really excited about it. So we're going to hope to keep as dry as possible. Anyway, this is a little rough shelter, as they say, with a very nice wood stove. From Camp Urich to Snoqualmie Pass, the weather clobbered us. Rain, snow, and fog were our constant companions. Sometimes the trail was lost due to clear cuts buried in snow, and we hiked on dirt roads instead. We clung to the memory of the elk we'd seen in government meadows, and were very happy to get to shelter at Snoqualmie Pass. During the bad weather, the Canadian border got very, very far away.
7:30 on September 21st, and we had a cold, clear night at a little tarn near Park Lakes. And this morning dawned beautifully. Boy, are we happy to see the sun. So we climbed up a little bit and we came to this plateau, which has just a fabulous view. Finally get to see the peaks we really couldn't see much of yesterday. It's Beautiful lakes right down in there.
While hiking late one afternoon, we chanced upon a porcupine hiding in a tree. Although it was late and we had several miles to go before camp, we lingered, watching the amazing creature. Upon reaching Cathedral Pass, our few days of good weather were threatened with high, thin, wispy clouds.
It's September 23rd. Remember those clouds I told you about? High, thin, wispy clouds? They're not high, thin, wispy clouds anymore. We got up this morning and were greeted by the rain. And we've been climbing. We've come up 3.5 miles. I don't know if you can see the mist and the rain blowing in over there. We're protected by some trees right here. This is breakfast.
Yeah,
There's Carol.
very short and very calm. Yes, here I am. It's another beautiful day in the state of Washington.
We just
Marvel
we love it
at
here.
the weather here. It's just fantastic. I said, this is a really pretty state. I don't know if anybody ever gets to see it, but I've heard tell it's a beautiful state. Yesterday we did see Glacier Peak off in the distance. We should have videoed
We should
it
have. We may never see that baby
because
again.
we probably won't see it again.
Where are we? How do you pronounce this pass?
I don't know. Peeper? Hyper.
It's been a great break huddling under this tree here.
Yeah, it's the only place that's dry.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, let's.
We be having fun in the North Cascades.
Oh yeah, it's great.
The heavy rains trapped us for days in a motel in the little town of Skykomish as we worried about how much snow was accumulating higher up in the mountains.
September 27th, and yesterday, most of the day, we watched the rain. It got really heavy all last night, and we didn't know what to do again this morning, and I probably would have stayed in bed, to tell you the truth, and made Carol do the same, except she wanted to leave. And we ended up, she had some allies who wanted to leave too, some old friends.
Wasn't me.
Some old friends blew into town yesterday. Brian and George caught us. So this morning we left our secure and warm environment, and we've made it about 9.5 miles to Lake Janus, and this is the Janus cabin. It's a beautiful place, but we're huddling inside because of the rain. You just don't know you don't know anything in this state. We have a new member to the group who joined.
Howdy.
Brian and George in Cascade Locks, right? Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Nick.
That's Nick.
I'd like to be home in Florida. It was 89 the last time I called.
Oh yeah.
No rain. It's pretty nice.
Oh.
They were out swimming.
Where are you
They had
from
the
in
sailboat.
Florida?
In the Keys.
From where?
The Keys, right near Key Largo.
Oh yeah?
So our group is now 5.
Point out
We
the
thought there'd be strength in numbers, but I think it's called misery in numbers.
And misery loves company, as you say.
Yeah, that's what it is.
This is going to be a long, 90 miles?
They have good swimming
Yeah,
rules.
88 miles or 89 now.
So I could probably leave this on for... I could probably just walk around this cabin and take pictures and just say this is every day for the next week or the last week, because this is almost
Get away
always
with-
what it looks like.
This is what it always looks like. Usually not this good.
Show them the architectural features.
It is an architectural wonder. We have the broken beam, and then we have the skylight, which is a nice feature.
This was an Architectural Digest 2 months ago, friends.
There are air spaces in the wall so that no one in the building will suffocate. It's a new idea.
Very well ventilated.
And we have a view out
window.
the window. It's pretty nice. And whatever they tell you about Washington, if it's positive and upbeat, don't believe them. if they tell you it's the Seattle Rain Festival from January 1st to December 31st, and they're telling you the truth.
After that night's rain, the weather finally broke, and we had one of the trip's most beautiful sunsets.
Poor kid.
Hi.
I think we're almost to the pass.
Yeah. It sure looks that way.
I think it's around the corner at the notch here.
Ah. Whoa.
Something up here, huh?
Really beautiful, yeah.
Boy, we're lucky to get this weather.
I know. I think this is a real rarity here.
I think we might rename some of these mountains. This might be the first time anyone's ever seen them, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's go check out the pass.
Okay.
Pretty nice views.
Yeah.
Let's leave you here. This is George.
As Carol and I continued, our thoughts turned inward, reflecting on the places we'd seen, the friends we'd made, and how we ourselves had changed over the course of the trip. We had met the challenges of a 2,500-mile hike, but the constant closeness to nature had taken away much of the egocentric attitude we had started the trail with. The long trek was not so much an athletic achievement, but a constant learning and sharing with the essential elements that make up our world, to endure the hard times, to bask in the good, to support each other, and thus make both our loads lighter, to see the best in every moment, and to be thankful for the small things, a frog, a fish, a flower, or being able to smell the rain on the wind before you ever see the clouds.
It's October 2nd and we've made it to Stehekin Road. We're waiting for the shuttle bus to bring us into Stehekin. It's been another great day. Cooled off a little, some high clouds, but we're all pumped up. We're seriously pumped up. This just seems like a dream come true. Never thought we'd make it this far.
Well, I had a lot of important things to say, but who cares? We're here. 90 miles to go. It's unbelievable.
What do you want most right now?
Enough money to be able to do stuff like this all the time. I'm a little bit afraid to go back to real life.
You always were.
I always was, that's right.
This is real life. That other stuff is just
That's fantasy?
fantasy.
Yeah.
I don't think when we get finished that I'm gonna ever really know that the next day you just don't get up and hike. You know, and keep doing it. We've been doing this so long. The trails have been very, very good. It feels especially good right now. Especially good. Couldn't be happier.
As we enjoyed a sun-drenched day at Lake Chelan, we loaded our packs for the very last time. We were all quiet and somewhat sentimental, but the ever-present threat of changing weather and the fear of being snowed off the trail days from the border forced Joe and I to set off quickly, once again leaving our friends a half day behind us.
Keywords there are Canadian border, 62 miles. So 6 months ago today we started our hike. Left San Diego, took a bus to Campo, looked for the border, actually started hiking probably around 5:30, 6 o'clock, I guess. Now here we are, almost there.
While reading the trail register at Hart's Pass, we realized our friends Dano, Bobby, Pete, and Nick Williams had all entered Canada by now. Though we might never see them again, we shared a pride in their accomplishment. With the good weather holding up, we too would soon cross into Canada, and so we decided to slow our pace so we could cross the border with Brian, George, and Nick.
And now the moment that, well, you hoped for, you dreamed about, you feared, you thought would never get here, is here. And they should be coming around to switchback any second. There's Monument 78. That's the Canadian border right there. The Canadian-American border. Little plaque there. Little sign that says Pacific Crest Trail. Oh no, Nick broke it! After all this, he breaks it! Oh no!
Get the police out here. Excuse me.
I thought someone would leave us a note.
This is it.
Northern terminus, so you see it doesn't go through Canada.
No, it ends here. Mexico, Canada to Mexico.
Well, no, you could put this on your coffee table. I think it would look good. Conversation.
You were going to try to smuggle it out of the country?
Can you imagine taking this
great.
with you?
I'm surprised someone
Did you
hasn't
take
done
anything out of Canada? No, not that I can recall.
Well, it says like lift off top for notes, so I thought it was up here.
Yeah, I did too.
Back and then the whole thing.
Oh no, he broke it more. It's got a lift off bottom too.
That's great. See the, can you get all this?
I got the whole, I got the monument on the right. I got the Pacific Crest Trail sign on the left. I got you guys in the middle.
Yeah.
Let's hear one hip hip hooray, huh?
Yeah.
These guys are very, very conscious of not making any noise in the wilderness, you'll notice.
That's right.
Where's that smoke bomb?
Any statements about the end?
It's over.
It's over?
Beautiful weather. Beautiful weather.
Next?
Can't believe I'm here.
You?
I can't believe it either. Only my feet
It's
believe it.
It's hard to believe. Yeah. Relieved,
So,
but
we're so
sad.
eloquent, aren't we, Joe?
I concur.
I know.
It's damn hard to believe. We really are here.
So-
Congratulations, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
really.
I just wanted to say that I consider myself very lucky to have been able to do this physically and emotionally, and that I'll always carry this with me. And that means an awful lot to me. And having seen the beautiful places and the wildlife along the way and met the people, the one thought that sticks in my mind the most is that there's an awful lot of land and wildlife out here that needs protecting, and an awful lot of beautiful places that will be lost unless we look out for them. And if I can, by being out here and doing this, and especially by lugging the video equipment around for as long as we have, show somebody who wasn't aware of it previously what was out here to see and do, and that there are things worth saving that they might have otherwise said, well, you know, pave that over or build another condominium there, or, you know, that's not important wildlife habitat after all, so we can just do without it. If I can help in any small way by having done this, then I'll feel that I gave something back to the trail, to nature that I just didn't take because I got an awful lot out of this.
Our friends from Natchez picked us up at Trail's End in Manning Park the next morning, giving us all a wonderful surprise greeting. From there, everything went so fast. Within a matter of hours, we had dropped Brian, George, and Nick off in Seattle, and we were all going our separate ways. All we had done and shared was suddenly over, and it was back to the real world. Now was the time for regrouping and once again finding the thread that leads to the future. The fates had smiled on us and all our friends. Many hikers met the challenges of the trail in 1988. Luckily, many of our friends completed the entire trail, but some ran out of time and others had been injured. But we all learned about the world in the old way, traveling on 2 feet, and none of us would ever forget our adventures. As long as our journey was, now it was but a moment locked in time.